my next guest, the great Steve Davis. Hello, Steve.
Richard, hello.
Thank you for joining me this afternoon.
What's happening on the radio is crazier than the weather at the moment.
It's good. It's
Yes.
good. It's what we want. Now, we've got a bit of a theme on today, haven't we?
We have.
Sail, 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 sail.
Print, 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 print.
Swim, 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 swim.
Skate, 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 skate.
Talk, 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 talk.
Shoot, 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 shoot.
Ski, 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 ski.
We all remember the Life Being at ads, don't we?
We do.
If you're of a certain age out there.
They don't write songs like that anymore, do they?
No. Thank goodness that. But it was about getting off the couch and doing something, wasn't it?
It was. And it came about in the weirdest way. So at my business, Talked About Marketing, we do a podcast. David Olney and I do a podcast. By the way, David Murren's listening, and one of our web developer, doing the housework, listening to you.
Good.
Yes.
Well done, David and David.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, we were on our way to the studio to record 2 episodes of Talking About Marketing, and we only had the material for one. And we thought, well, we'll get there. There'll be inspiration. Alexandra Lopez rang us out of the blue. Now, Ali does vocal work around town. She's awesome, and she's a client. And she said, I've been wanting to call you for ages, but I've heard you talk about Richard Pascoe, she said.
Yes.
And you doing exercise now. And I think some of the business people who listen to your podcast would actually like you to just put the marketing aside, tell the story about what you're doing, because a lot of us in business, we don't look after ourselves. We get locked into the working grind. And if you could just take us through that, what got you out of the rut, it might be helpful. And there it was. The idea for an episode just fell out of the sky.
And it all came about when you and I were having lunch one day.
Yeah. And look.
And we don't do that all the time, folks. It's about once a month we do it. So.
Yes. And so what was happening is I had been doing a lot of work with an exercise physiologist for many years. And I drifted away from that because I turned up the one-on-one, and I was doing it because I loved the guys I was working with, wanted to support them, but the motivation wasn't internal. It was just doing the right thing. Anyway, life got busy. Then my good GP said, do you know what? Let's do some blood tests, just out of the blue. And we did. And they weren't a pretty picture. And I said, okay.
It's always fun when you get those results, isn't it, Steve?
They were. So I said, look, you know what? Let's not panic. I will start doing some things and sort things out, which I did. But it was a very stressful business year. And he didn't pressure me. He said, okay, I trust you. Anyway, we did a second round and things got worse because despite the best. Anyway, that was the day I had lunch with you. I don't know if you remember it.
Yes.
I had just got the results that morning and I was feeling pretty darn crap.
You were.
It was horrible. And you'd mentioned in passing this, you go to these classes, only 10 minutes from where I am, a few days. But you didn't push anything. You just dropped it.
I don't. I think there is nothing worse than somebody coming on. You need to come to the gym.
Exactly.
It doesn't work like that. You have to want to go to the gym.
And I remember this lunch, I just looked at you and I said, right, tell me the details. And you did. I said, right, it was a Friday. I said, Monday, I'll be there. And I did. Got going. I do Monday and Fridays. That was December last year. Then Christmas, travel, all that stuff, a few things. Got sick a few bits.
Yes.
And then around about April-ish, May, got back on the horse properly. And it's just become routine now. And so setting the alarm for 5:09, which I resisted in the first bit because I did do breakfast radio for a bit in my past career. And I just never wanted to get up early ever again. But it's awesome. 5:09, the alarm goes off. I'm up. I'm at the gym. We do a grueling session at Fitness Habitat. And as David and I spoke about this from a business perspective, getting that routine in place, what's made it work is you, Richard, because if I ever faltered, you would be buzzing saying, hey, how you going? What's on? So you had this buddy system where there's accountability.
Because it is, because we had the agreement at the beginning. I said, I'll be there for you.
Yeah. That's right.
I'll be there on a Monday and a Friday. Let's get you into this, because I think there's nothing worse than rolling up. And I've only ever been to one other gym in my life. It lasted 2 times, and that was the end of it for me. Couldn't do it. And I think, and there's a lot of great gyms out there, right? I know that I've talked about Fitness Habitat before, but I think it's got a lovely group of people, probably the most knowledgeable PT instructor out as far as everything is concerned about health and fitness, and it's something that you want, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it actually helps that all the people there aren't your classic gym junkies who are looking in the mirror the whole time. They're just normal humans, and they're pretty darn friendly. And this what came out in the conversation. David Olney brought this up. I thought it was beautiful because he drew the parallel between this and people when we give them some advice for their small business and their marketing. He said, the sooner you can do, I'm quoting from him now, the sooner you can do something preemptive for well-being in any aspect of your life, the easier the next hard thing is. And so as he dropped that out of his mouth, I said, yes, there are small businesses where we say, right, let's get your website sorted properly first. Now, I want you to do some blogging. I want you to be sharing some articles on your website. You don't have to go crazy. Just do it. And some do, many don't. They just think it's too hard. And he just makes the point that when those things are suggested up front, well, things are okay, it takes a little bit of time and it just builds like compound interest.
Right.
The longer you don't start, the longer you put it off, suddenly things are bad and now you're panic stations and it's really hard because you're crippled with panic. And it's the same with health. It's the same with so many things, that consistent effort. And there'll be people listening who've read Atomic Habits by James Clear. He makes the point that you've just got to do that little bit. He actually does the math. There's a formula that shows just a 1% increment in things you're doing every day adds up to some huge number in the course of a year.
And a lot of the times you don't want to do those things. And it's, when the alarm goes off for you some mornings, it's literally do I have to go? But you do for yourself feel, to me, responsibility for. It's hard to get out of bed some days, isn't it?
Well, actually, it was not anymore. Like
Good.
It's actually so hardwired that even when you're feeling just a bit rough the night before, part of
that ever happens to Steve.
Part of me is, oh, hang on, I just can't deal with the sarcastic SMS I'll get from you. But secondly, it's just I was with Rick Price this week. So Rick Price is in town. Great singer.
Yes.
Lots of his names. I actually co-wrote a song with him for a new comedy character.
Right.
More of that another time. But he doesn't drink anymore. And a number of friends he's helped move to that state of being. And he said, here's the thing. It's your executive function, your brain. If you're thinking, oh, maybe I'll just have one, maybe whatever, he said, it's going to be hard. But when you've shut it off completely, when you've just said, no, I've made the decision, it's a no, it's so easy to move forward because you're not in limbo. And I think I haven't got to that bit with drinking yet, but when it comes for that alarm being set on Mondays and Fridays at 5:09, it's the brain, the executive function at the top says there's no back chat here, sunshine. You're doing it.
You've got to do it.
It's basically done. In fact, do it now. It's done. And it's amazing. It maintains that consistency of effort.
Because you roll over in bed some days, but it's okay, I'll get up and go.
Yeah. Well, now, and plus, I've got a daughter who's being trained by the Institute of Sport in kayaking. So other mornings of the week, got to get up at that time anyway to get her across to kayaking training. So it's become a habit.
So you're up at what time does your alarm go?
For Monday and Friday, it's 5:09.
Yes, 5:15 for me.
Yes, my second alarm is 5:15.
Yes,
in case the first one fails to load.
It fails,
yes.
But it is really about maintaining that.
It is.
To go all the way through and enjoying what you do. Because if you put it off, and I try not to shove it down people's throats, but it's all you've got to move. And Scott, Fox, who runs Fitness Habitat, if you've got to move it or lose it. Now we've got Johnny, who's out there now. He is super fit, and he's in his 70s. Because people always go, it's for young people. I've got to let you know, it's not for young people. out there. There are a lot of senior people out there, and one day I'll be one of them, that can go along and exercise like. But Johnny's fantastic on it. He does the hanging bars, literally hangs, gets his feet up, and does all of that. But it literally is, if you want a long, healthy life out there, and you want good results in your business, sometimes you have to go along and do these things.
Yeah. And that's why at the end of our podcast, when we talk about old ads that used to be popular, would they work today? We played the Life Be In It ads. Yeah. And it occurred to us that having animated characters, Norm and Norma, on an app these days that was tied in, so on your phone, it knew where you were, it knew the weather where you were, you've told it what you like and don't like, it's got a bit of artificial intelligence to actually talk to you like a human. It could actually say to you, okay, you've just finished listening to Richard. Look, it's raining outside. There's about 3 chair exercises you could do right now. If someone had the wherewithal to put that together, those Life Be It ads, which I think were pretty effective back in their day, I think it could live again in 2024 because it would just be helpful suggestions. It wouldn't be big stick or cheesy.
That's right.
And just distance from real life.
You think it's a good idea. Why are we telling all the listeners about that? Because somebody might go out and develop it.
Well, hang on. Can we just... We're recording this, aren't we? That's good. Okay.
Just rewind the whole thing.
I actually want it done. I don't care who does it. Get it done. I think it's better for all of us.
Saw Steve at the Polaris Centre. Love listening to him there, and you too, Richard. Cheers, Ben. Thank you, Ben.
Oh, g'day, Ben.
Always good. Where do we find out more information about you, Steve?
Well, Monday and Friday mornings, you can see me at Fitness Habitat, scantily clad in gym gear. But for work is what you meant.
Very well
Just
dressed.
go to talkedaboutmarketing.com and you'll find out more there. The podcast, if you're a podcaster, talking about marketing, the current episode is the one that's got the lowdown. We go into a bit more detail. Yeah. And we deliberately, it's warts and all. You didn't want some happy, clappy, everything's great and easy, because it's not. It's hard to get it going.
But that's life.
Yeah, that is life. That's life. Be in it.
There we go. Steve, thanks very much for coming in on a Saturday afternoon, especially on a long weekend. I really appreciate it. And we will talk to you next week here on 5AA. It is now 12:33. We've got a couple of calls, and Tracy Yend will be in the studio shortly here on 5AA.
All right.
Thanks.